In this lesson, I'll show you how to go from ordinary to extraordinary when balancing color in your composition. Come on and meet me in the studio. I start with a thin coat of burnt sienna and alizarin crimson and dry it with a blow dryer or let it dry naturally. I get those edges too. I have my photo on my tablet, and that is of the Hovenweep National Monument where we camped in 2019. That's the view from our campsite. It's the evening and there is a thunderstorm off in the distance. And I was especially interested in this photo because of all the interest in the sky and those clouds, how they cast the warm light and a lot of kind of harsh shadows on the earth. I just thought it was very dramatic. That light area that you see in kind of the center of the painting, that's a ravine where just some of the rocks at the top of the ravine are showing. Now I'm laying in that background. The darker clouds are being formed with ultramarine, Prussian blue, purple or violet, a little bit of alizarin crimson over that light blue sky. Light blue sky is made with cerulean. I'm showing you way off in the distance the storm, and I'm going back and forth between the picture I like just taken a little smidge later where it was the sky was pinker and you could really see that thunderstorm coming through. I actually combined two photos to get this shot. So in one photo I liked more of the reds in the sky. In the other photo I liked how the light was hitting the ground more. So I just combined the two. So laying in some of the lighter clouds. Now those whites contain a hint of yellow to warm them up because straight white is cool. And yes, I do sometimes use white in there as well. But usually as I'm blending it in with the blue. I'm using oils. You can do this with acrylics also. If you zoom in on that palette, you can see all the different colors. And I've added a few of the Vasaris, which is a higher quality oil up there. Little touches of that when I need specific colors. So clouds are built with just a variety of colors, especially these dark storm clouds. So remember, you've got warm yellow light affecting all the colors in the clouds. So you're really going to be adding hints of yellow in with your purples, your blues, your ceruleans. Now cerulean is a warm blue. You're going to have hints of that in with those cooler blues of ultramarine, Impression's kind of in between. It has a little bit of a greenish cast to it. And all of that yellow mixed with the white adds so much warmth. You know, I'm adding in touches of orange, touches of red. You really are just bringing in bits of everything and layering those clouds to really create the depth. Now, in places, later on, after I get the foreground put in, I realized that overall some of the clouds are too dark. So I came in and just lightened everything up. You know, you'll see that at the end. So just because you have it, you know, one way, doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You make adjustments as you get all your colors down. You can go back and readjust. Now this area down here, I'm setting up for that thunderstorm way off in the distance. It was really quite spectacular. I'm glad it was off in the distance because we were tent camping. But wow, it was amazing to see. And one of the things that inspired me to take so many photos of this sky and ultimately inspired me to do this painting, which I'm calling Sunset Storm. There was lightning strikes and you know, all kinds of things, but we were off in the distance and the sunshine. Again, just building. I actually reworked that area several times. One of the things I love about, you know, oils or acrylics, that you can just, you know, keep building and working an area until you get it right. Watercolors are not that forgiving. So I'm really just, you know, trying to balance the dark rain coming down. But I want that warm sky beyond it to also show, because that was one of the things that was so spectacular about it. You had all this warmth up in the sky, plus you had the deep dark clouds and the rain coming down. Really quite spectacular out there, and it was so beautiful. I really recommend it. Hovenweep is just north of the Four Corners area, and part of it goes into Colorado. This part that we were in, that we were camping in, was in Utah. Lots of birds and flowers and things like that I wasn't familiar with, so it all seemed quite exotic to me. So I'm pulling down some of that rain, and you'll see, you know, I'll kind of rework that area a few times. I want to lift the clouds high enough up to see the warmth of the sky beyond, but I also want you to be able to see that rain coming down. Now that light greenish color is the landscape way off in the distance. And then as you come forward, you know, we're going to have some deep darks in the foreground. And then we're going to have some light lights from, you know, where the sun is shining on some of the plants in the foreground. I'm just laying down with an ultramarine and a sap green and a little bit of Prussian blue and, you know, a little bit of violet. Just the background for all the foliage to sit on top of. Keep jumping back. I'll see something up in the sky that I want to add or fix. And sometimes I tend to jump back and forth. Just continuing to layer. And the point is, when selecting a photo like this, is that you go ahead and you get a reference photo that has meaning to you, which this did. This was me and my family camping out in Hovenweep, which is filled with ancient ruins. And but pick photos that are spectacular, and that's half your battle right there. Giving those clouds some depth, letting the sun peek through in areas. You need some brights, and then you need to balance that with some of the darker colors, and then pick out areas that are going to be cool and some areas that are going to be warm. If you're getting something from this video, please take a moment to like it. Comment about what you like most about the video, or even what you would like to see. Yeah, I keep working that sky over and over again. And sometimes that's just what it takes. So don't think that just because somebody's been painting for a while that they have it all figured out the first time. It's trial and error. The sky, surprisingly, in clouds, you have some greens up in there. Think about it. You've got the warm yellow and you've got some bluish tones. So you're naturally going to end up with some greenish colors in your clouds and in your sunsets. You don't think about it. You don't think, oh, there's green in the sky, unless there's a big storm coming. Still trying to balance the, that background that glows with the foreground of the rain falling. If you would like to learn more about Hovenweep, please see my video, Explore Draw Utah. That gives you a lot of the photos and video of the area and some of the ancient ruins that we saw. Okay, so now I'm starting to come forward with a little bit of the land. In this area there was mainly just little scrub bushes, a few little kind of scrubby trees here and there. A lot of beautiful pinkish orange rock formations and that ravine that goes through there. Very beautiful, especially in the evening sun. Made it even more orangey. So in the foreground, I'm adding a lot of interest. There's a lot of blue and purple shadows. There's a lot of, reds and oranges where the sun's hitting the ground. And I'm just doing very loose brushwork, putting in or hinting at the foliage that's going on. Is it just like the photograph? No. Do I care? No. I'm just giving an indication of what's there. There were a few areas of rock where, you could go along, pick a path through all of that. mainly rock. And then where dirt had settled into areas, that's where little shrubs and flowers grew, and cactus. There was a lot of rock. So see how I'm balancing warms and cools even in the shadow areas. And again, I'll reserve my lightest lights and my darkest darks for the foreground. Now this is where that evening sun is hitting tips of the foliage and making them glow. Love it when that happens. You're just building color over there. Nice loose brushwork. There were lots of orangey flowers and purples and yellows and just all kinds of flowers going on. But see how those just glow in the light? No pure white is being used. It's either mixed a little bit with green or yellow, blue, violet, orange. Now all the time when I do this sort of thing, not only do I put it away momentarily and come back to it, but I love to wait till the next day. And I realized when I came back the next day that I felt, like I said earlier in the video, that the sky was too dark compared to the foreground. So I'm going in, I made up a little slurry of, it's kind of a lavender warm slurry. It actually has some red and ultramarine, a little bit of yellow mixed with white, and I'm just toning down, what should I say, I'm lightening actually the clouds where they're the darkest to make them recede into the background a little bit more. So even though areas of those clouds looked very dark to me because they were dark storm clouds, they still have to be lighter than the foreground. Now, some people don't like the harsh shadows of evening. Frankly, I think that they make for an interesting painting. I like the contrast. Just working it. Sometimes I put paintings away, and I make changes to them even years later. Don't forget to photograph your paintings before you put any final coating on it. Always get your photographic reference first. I realized I forgot some of the little detail way off in the distance. Those are just little nubs of shrubs on top of that. I thought that would actually help define what that is over there, that it's way off in the distance. And then once I put some of those in, that shrub in the foreground didn't have, the values weren't dark enough to differentiate between that and the background. So I darkened that up some, and now you see how it comes to the foreground. And here's the final image. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you really enjoyed this lesson. Please subscribe, like, comment. Tell me what lessons you would like for me to create for you.